My name's Curtis, this is the RANE ONE MKII. Let's take a look and dive in. So for those of you who don't know, RANE is a company that has made products for DJs since the 80s, and they're super well made and built to last, and that's why they've been the favourite for DJ mixers and controllers and more recent scratch DVS systems, the digital vinyl systems to date. And the RANE ONE MKII is in line with that build quality and that durability, which is great for professional DJs that need reliability and serviceability, which is super important. So that's enough about RANE. Now let's look at the differences between the MKI and the MKII. Now the obvious thing that you can see is it's had a whole new facelift. It's in white now as opposed to the kind of dark grey that the MKI was. And I think it's a really welcome change here. It looks the part and it really does suggest that there's a lot more going on than meets the eye, which we'll get to later. So that's enough about the comparisons from the MKI and the MKII, but let's deep dive into what the new effects are. And there's tons of really good quality effects and features which just really push this up to a whole new level of product itself. So we'll start on the outside. We have obviously the platters. These are a very familiar and very authentic feel. I'd probably say it's probably one of the most comfortable and familiar motorized DJ controllers on the market. I really love it. I love the feel of it. You can change the actual, how slippy and the response of the discs themselves by putting a washer. You get that in the pack, and these little butter rugs here. So that's a really nice feature to customize, and it's really important for scratch DJs, backspins and all sorts. So this has a relatively modest backspin, whereas if you put the washers in, you get a better backspin and smoother for scratching. So that's good for DJs doing backspins, but it's also good for turntablists that want that precise mobility with scratching. The next biggest feature is the additional buttons on the unit. So we now have dedicated acapella and instrument stems buttons on here, which is a warm welcome because there's a lot of controllers out there that already have that, and the MKI didn't have that. So that's a very, very good feature to have. Quick and easy. You've also got stem effects, so it does the echo out for the acapella or the instrument by holding shift, or you can set it in the default menu for the effects itself. And then you have these really cool 4 additional buttons that have 8 modes built in. So you can customize whichever mode these are in. So you have your kind of beat jump mode, you have your standard stems mode, and that's really customizable for any particular scenario, whether you're doing a crazy performance, whether you're a pro DJ, or whether you're just out on the road and you just want to make life a bit easier for yourself by accessing your stems and your cue points in addition to the performance pads. Let's talk about stems. So what are stems? So stems breaks down the track into 4 parts. And I talked earlier about these a cappella and instrumental parts, but it actually separates it into 4 parts here. So we've got vocal, we've got melody, bass and drums. So we can mute any of those and have any combination of those active at the same time. And they've taken this one step further. We now have 5 ways to use stems on the RANE ONE MKII, which is fantastic. It really does push the boundaries of how to use stems. Now, RANE have a really good relationship with Serato as a company. So on the Pro DJ software that you get with it, you can really get some more intuitive and groundbreaking effects using the stems roll, the stems effects, and the volume effects, which you can mute parts of the stems using these EQ knobs here by holding shift and selecting the stems level feature on the unit itself. And you can disengage that, which is perfect for mixing on the fly, blending drums in and out, switching bass lines, and all sorts of crazy transitions that are perfect for pro DJs. So as I said before, this unit is actually tailored for professional DJs, and one thing that is a really good improvement from the MKI is the fact that you get effects on the mic channel, on mic channel 1 now. So you've got delays, you've got a reverb, and you've got a few other parameters where you can duck the vocal down whilst you're playing music, and some really good fine adjustments, which are super good for MCs or wedding DJs that just want to do announcements, or whether you just want to do a real vocal performance on your drum and bass mix, your jungle mix. Any sort of flavour of genre is welcome with that particular feature. So let's have a go at that now. I'll just play a track. As you can hear, I've got some reverb on the track. I can mute that because we've got a dedicated effects button, which is really nice. Turn it on and off. Little splashes of reverb, splashes of delay. As you can hear, it's ducking the music down, and you get a low, a medium, and a high amount of ducking that you can choose in the preferences. And that's perfect for announcements or MCs that just want a subtle amount of ducking. And you've also got adjustment of the hold time as well, which is really nice. So moving on to the next amazing feature on this particular unit, my favorite feature of this unit, which is the onboard effects section. Now this thing is an absolute beast. It's taken a lot of those effects from the RANE Performer, and they are premium effects. So if you're comparing them to the familiarity of the Mark I and the Serato effects, they're still very familiar, very similar sounding to Serato, but they're just a little bit more premium, a little bit more musical. And the delays, they really just shimmer across whatever music that you're putting them through. So let's go into a little bit of detail on the effects section. So we now have a really nice screen which allows you to navigate using the old parameter wheel here, or this new toggle switch here, which also doubles up as a performance tool, where you can change the divisions of time on the delays, or the pitch effect scale, and the modes for the scale on those pitch effects in real time, which is fantastic. So you can really get creative with those, with the paddle effects that are built in. And the parameter control actually controls a couple of parameters per effect, so you can really dial in the flavour and the sound that you desire. Now there's 29 effects on board, which is great, and 5 of those are dedicated fader effects. So we have things from break speed, the chopper effect, reverbs, delays, phasers, bit crushers, anything that you need to get your performance sounding unique and flexible for any type of gigging performance are built in to the unit itself. But what does that mean? Well, actually you can use your turntables, your vinyl, run it through the inputs, the external inputs on the unit, and use those effects on your classic soul tracks, your jungle, your drum and bass, your hip hop tracks that are on your vinyls. So that's for me, that's one of the biggest features on this particular unit at this particular price point. So it doubles up as a mixer and a portable, high quality motorized DJ controller. Let's just take a little bit more detailed look at this effects section here. So we have the standard 6 buttons, which you might be familiar with from the Mark I. And we also have this additional button here, which allows you to toggle between the internal effects and your software effects. We'll give you a demonstration of how they compare. They're very familiar, so I think it's really key what they've done here is given you that premium quality, but not veered too far away from the Mark I effects on Serato. And that's what I really like about it. They're familiar, but they sound a little bit more musical. Moving down to these channel effects here, this is a great feature upgrade from the Mark I or any DJ controller. You've got a slightly bigger knob here, which is nice. It's got a nice blue ring, which makes it a little bit more obvious to kind of see where it is. But the most important thing is that you can actually change the effects here. So you've got 4 to choose from: filter, filter roll, noise, and flanger. So you can really customize this for any performance. Filter's your classic. Filter roll is really good fun for like wedding DJs that just want to kind of filter roll and delay, have a delayed effect so that it has a filter on it. And the noise is good for transitions, for hyping up like dance music sets and all that good stuff. But that's not it. I mentioned earlier about the 5 fader up fader effects, which is these new buttery smooth level faders, which are similar to the crossfader And these are precision feel faders. Now they feel buttery, they feel smooth, and that's perfect for those turntablists, the scratch DJs, anyone that wants that quick performance and that action that's definitely needed for this particular type of unit. But you can adjust the tension on those. So if you do like the old classic familiar feel from the Mark I or any other DJ controller that you're coming from, it actually is tension adjustable, so you can kind of have a little bit more control and customization over that. But with those 5 effects, these can actually control how those effects are manipulated. So think of it as your depth control. This actually manipulates a parameter within those effects. So when you have it turned on, this will actually control maybe the pitch of the effect, the beat roll effects, and many, many more. So as you know, this is a performance tool. The faders are upgraded, the up faders are upgraded. You've got this upgraded crossfader, it's tension adjustable. But the familiar things that I really like that they've kept on here are the contour controls for the crossfader and the up faders here. So everything's customizable, and that's what I really like about this unit. It's just built for professionals, that there's always something with a controller that you think, oh, I wish it did this, I wish it did that. And this covers all of that on such a small footprint. And it's just cramming those features in, but still giving you enough space to work. Nothing's in the way. It's really, really well thought out. And I really, really love it. I'm kind of a bit blown away by it. And I love the little accents to show you the kind of the stems mode on the EQ, which is in line with these black accents and details all around the side. It looks great and it performs really great. And the contour switches just really allows you to kind of get the feel and response tailored to you, as well as you've got the cut-in control, so you can adjust the cut-in. When it's set to 0, this line is bang in line with that first line, but when it's set to 10, it will come in about 5mm later. You can really fine-tune those details for your preference. So that's a deep dive into the effects section and the up fader effects. But let's see how they sound in a practical application. Now we've got one digital track playing on here, and we're just going to compare the Serato effects, which a lot of you will be familiar with the onboard effects. And I think that's quite important because you want familiar effects, but obviously these are premium effects, so you want them to sound premium. So we're going to have a listen and see how they sound in comparison. So we've just got a basic delay, and we've also got a basic delay from Serato. So they should be like for like. So let's have a listen to how they sound. So we're going to turn the effect on. So we've got a delay from the internal effects, as you can see on the screen. And if we switch to Serato, you can see on the screen. So you'll have to have some good headphones on to hear that, but it really does have a nice tail, a shimmer, and the ability to customize the high pass frequencies on the actual onboard effects here. So you've got these cuts, we've got 80, 40 Hertz, 140. So you can really get some nice shimmery, delayed sounds that really do clean up the mix and lift your performance to that pro level. And that's what this particular unit's all about. But the most exciting feature for me is the fact that you can now use the internal effects on external inputs. And you know, I'm a big vinyl fan. I've got a collection of some great records and some 1210s at home. But before, on the Mark I, we couldn't actually use effects on the internal inputs. So now we have premium effects with all our classic funk, soul, drum and bass, jungle, all that good stuff, and we can run that through the effects on board. So let's see how that sounds. We've got this basic groove here, add some delay, filter, we can even use the pitch effects on this, which is creating like a little sample and pitching it down. So it's repeating and pitching down the effect. which is incredible. So you can really get creative if you're cutting tunes, if you're beat juggling, if you're creating pitch effects for the more performance side of things. But you've got some really tasteful and premium effects for some, you know, a wide variety of genres: funk, soul, dance music, drum and bass, jungle, dub, you name it. You have effects in here for your favorite records. So this has been the RANE ONE MKII. Now, I'm really impressed by this unit. It's super fun to play with. I spent the last couple of days playing with it, and it really has crammed in a hell of a lot into this very small unit. And it looks great, it performs great, and it's super durable. I feel like it's got everything that a lot of people would need for different scenarios. I personally would want to use it at home to practice and get that performance element. There's tons of DJs out there that would probably want to take this on the road. It's built to last. It's really serviceable. It's built like a tank, actually. I mean, it's quite a solid unit. But I think these latest features and effects have really lifted it to the next level. I can see this being in lots of different clubs, lots of wedding DJs using this particular unit, and I think it's really, really well done. They've really improved the MKI and given you top grade features for this particular price point. So I've really enjoyed this unit. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you love the colour? Do you not? What do you think to the effects? Please let us know. And if you want to watch more videos like this, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up. I've been Curtis, and thanks for watching.